Yo, what is good, guys? It is your host, the one and only Sage the Samurai here, back at it again with another part 2. What if Asta had Mihawks sword skills? It's been a real long time since I last recorded this What If, so I decided to go ahead and bring it back for y'all, as I want to go and complete the series I've just formed. I already have an idea for a bunch of new series. I have a bunch of new ideas, and I want to get working on them, but I feel like I need to go ahead and complete the others that I've already created. That way I don't tax myself with much more work, of course. And of course, your support is always greatly appreciated, as if you guys would go ahead and comment down anything like really just anything you guys have in mind, it will be really helpful, as those comments actually what gets you guys' attention. As I don't know how it works, but apparently the more comment there is on a video, the more times people see that video. I don't know, on programming stuff, I guess. But still, guys, I want to thank y'all for your support, and hopefully y'all will continue supporting this channel, even though I have probably one of the worst upload schedules in What If history. Probably. I don't know. Either way, thank y'all so much for your support, and why don't I go ahead and get started with this What If? Let's begin.
You're never gonna make it, you're not good enough. There's a million other people with the same stuff. You really think you're different? Man, you must be kidding. Think you're gonna hit it, but you just don't get it. It's impossible, it's not probable, you're irresponsible. Too many obstacles, you gotta stop it, yo. You gotta take it slow, you can't be a pro. Don't waste your time no more. Who the fuck are you to tell me what to do?
Alright, guys, now let's start off with a little bit of a recap. If you guys want to know what happened last time, I recommend you check out the whole part. But for the short recap, pretty much, it was the Royal Magic Night exams where we see Asta as well as the rest of the Black Bulls participating, that being Magma, Finral, Luck, and Noel. At this, each one of them had actually done well in the exams, and even though only Asta had won in the end, each one of them did exceptionally well, so well that they actually end up being in the Royal Magic Night, including Magma this time, as I feel like they did my boy dirty on the first one. But yeah, not gonna let that happen in this What If. But moving on, we also have Asta being in charge of the Assemble Magic Knights, pretty much aiding them in the charge to target the Midnight Sun's base. And by the way, I'm not going ahead and start saying the Eye of the Midnight Sun, because saying all that as fast as you can messes my flow up, so I have to shorten some things out, okay? So if you expect me to say the whole entire sentence, like, nah. Either way, back to it. Now at this, we now see the group now charging into the base of the Midnight Sun, with Asta still being on the same team like he does in canon, that being with Zora and Mereoleona. At this, Mereoleona is the one who's mostly taking care of the grunts, while Asta ties up the loose ends just in case she missed a few, as currently right now she was in a battlefield mode, taking on everyone and everything that was in her sights, while Zora and Asta just stay behind her while she erupts with chaos. While this was happening, the rest of the Black Bulls were also doing their part, as the ones that were left behind were protecting the base from a couple of grunts that were sent to take care of the area, as that still ends up happening, except I'm gonna say excuse the rest of them, like Sally and the rest of her group. We're gonna change them up for a couple of grunts that they just sent their way, mostly the fact that I'm too bothered to actually focus on that one area, as we already know the Black Bulls stomp quite easily. But moving on. Back with Asta's group though, eventually after taking care of a few of the grunts, we end up getting the appearance of one of the leaders of the Midnight Sun, that being Raya. At this, Raya, who ends up appearing, which if you guys don't know is the one with the copy magic, would instantly look his gaze onto Asta and instantly tense up. At this, even though he hated to admit it, Asta was the one who they had been on the radar for quite a long time. And if he was being honest, he was not expecting to face Asta this soon, but nonetheless, he has no choice. After all, it seems like Asta was not the only strong person here, as he turns his attention to Mereoleona. So just like in canon, they go ahead and get a little bit of banter in before Mereoleona vanishes and swings an attack directly at him as he dodges. So the battle between Mereoleona and Raya commences, which the fight I would say would go similarly to canon, except for a few changes, this being the fact that Raya is slightly faster and stronger, mostly the fact that he had been training while he was weakened, considering the fact that he realized that if they want their goal to succeed, they need to get more stronger, especially if they have monsters like Asta for the Clover Kingdom, or aka the humans. So yeah, the fight continues on a little bit longer, but the results are nonetheless, as Mereoleona, after delivering a powerful blow, and I mean extremely powerful one, Raya ends up falling down to the ground, being supposedly knocked out. However, this is when Asta begin to feel a tense amount of ki fill into the area. Using observation haki, Asta then widens his eyes in shock, as his piercing gaze would then stare down at the downed Raya. What did you do? At this is when a faint rumbling would then be heard as the whole base began to shake, while Raya begins to laugh like a maniac. It finally began. At this is when we will then see around the Clover Kingdom, as well as in the entire area, you'll see people begin to take in a yellowish glow, as they also get this mark on the left side of their cheek, as each one will be staring up at seemingly nothing with a smile on their face. As this will cause us to transition from the Royal Magic Knight arc into the Elf Reincarnation arc. At this, Asta, who was reading the key of the area, already knew that something was wrong, as after the rambling was short, this is when suddenly bursting through a wall, we will then see a reel of the Aquadeer, that being the captain. However, something was off about him. Number one being the fact that he had this golden glow upon him, as well as this weird tattoo that was on his face. At this, Asta instantly knew that something was wrong, as Ril would then turn to Raya and begin to act all buddy-buddy with him. But he was not the only one, as a few others began to enter the room. Asta barely remembers their faces, as he dubbed them like not interesting or really not anything he really pays attention to. And by Asta I mean me, because I really didn't pay attention to all the background characters, alright? Only the ones who were mainly important. However, before this all happened, we will then turn to another area, as you end up seeing the Wizard King, who was calmly just going around the kingdom as he was putting his fate into his Royal Magic Knights. However, while this was happening, he will then see William Vengeance of the Golden Dawn appear, as this is when he will then reveal that he was Licht all along, and this is where they get their classic CGI battle, to which it was easy stomps for, well, the Wizard King, considering the fact that Julius was easily able to overpower him in power, speed, and really pretty much everything. However, this is when Licht, of course, pulled a bitch boy move, trying to assassinate everyone in the kingdom using a bullshit power-up that he got from nowhere, to which the Wizard King did the ultimate sacrifice and sacrificed his life to save the kingdom, to which we found out later on he really didn't. But yeah, I just want to get through all that real quick before we get into this part. So after that, of course, Yamiya ends up making his appearance known. He gets extremely angry and ready to run the ones with this man, until Licht had vanished and ran off, while Yami curses his name. But back with Asta would end up seeing as multiple others would then appear, as now 5 reincarnated elves were there, including Raya, as this is when they will all turn to face them. At this, Asta already knew that this would be very entertaining for him, as he prepares to grab the sheath of his blade and prepare to face off against them, only for Mereoleona to get in his way, as she ends up saying that, "Nah, cub, this is my battle," as she then blitzes off, ready to face off against each one of them in a 5v1. This battle doesn't really change, as just like in canon, Mereoleona puts up a good fight, but eventually ends up falling, as she is not able to take them all out at once, but she does go out in a badass way. Those will leave Asta and Zora on their own, to which Asta sighs, thinking about how troublesome this woman was. However, he had to give her some respect, considering the fact that that was impressive, even for him. So with that being said, Asta, in a flashing speed that none of the others could even react to, will get to Mereoleona, grabbing her body as he sets her down gently next to Zora. "Take care of her, okay?" At this, Asta would say so in a commanding tone, to which Zora would do nothing more but nod to, while Asta then turns to the other. "Well, each one of you had gone extremely powerful, and even you've already been this powerful for a while, so I guess you guys should give me some entertainment." At this, Raya was now quaking at this point. At this, Asta was releasing this unknown pressure into the area, causing each one of them to tense up in fear, as they honestly did not know what they were facing off against. Running thoughts in their mind were being, "What is this guy? Like, is he a human? How could a human have this much strength?" While Raya is just thinking the best way how to get out of this situation. "Dang it, there's no way we can take this guy on." At this, Asta began to get coated in anti-magic, as he then gets into his stance, releasing the conqueror spirit that was held up inside of him, as this will cause each one of them to actually fall down a little bit, lowering their guard, as they were shocked by the sudden attack. At this, seeing that they were all off guard, Raya would then shout, "No!" as this is when Asta would then vanish right before all of them. He would appear behind 2 of them, as he would then slash at them easily with anti-magic slashes, causing them to actually fall down to the ground, and honestly almost nearly be knocked out from that fatal blow, since he was caught off guard, as well as the fact that the attack hit him in a very open spot. Seeing this, Ril would get angry, as he then shoots off a ginormous paint serpent towards him, to which Asta would easily cut that up with one hand. Is that all? At this, suddenly Asta would then vanish right before his eyes, causing Ril to look around, as this is when said reincarnated elf would then feel a tensing pressure coming from behind him. At this, as he turns around, you'll see Asta there, but high-key, the man looked like a real demon, as behind him he could swear he could see red glowing eyes behind him as he strikes him down with his blade, using the blunt side of course, as he doesn't want to, accidentally kill his comrades. As he knows that whatever is happening to them, it seems as if they have no control or any prior experience to him, as during the fight with Leona, Rill didn't even seem to remember her. So due to this, Asta would use the blunt side of the blade to send Rill flying and crashing to the ground with the others, just as Raya as well as the other one tried to attack, only for Asta to avoid it too. Damn it, this is getting us nowhere. So seeing the dilemma, Raya then does something that honestly pissed off Asta, as he actually opens a portal right in front of him, causing Asta to actually go through it, as Asta had now been sent into an unknown area, to which he has no idea where he's going, but he does swear that he will pay Raya back for this one. So other than that, a couple of small events end up occurring, that being the fact that Ghost ends up leaving the Black Bulls to go who knows where, and also another change of events will be the encounter between Magma and Luck, as Magma, since he was part of the Royal Magic Knights this time, would actually be there to witness Luck's transformation, as he calls out to him, "Luck, are you good?" But this is when Luck then puts on a faint smile and says, "And who are you, human scum?" At this, Magma will be in surprise, as this is when he then, shouts at Luck, calling him like, "Who you calling scum?" Only for Luck to appear and literally speed blitz him, as he then appears right in front of him, giving him a lightning gut punch, causing him to be sent flying and crashing through the wall, as he then begins to fall out of the base of the Midnight Sun. While this was happening, Magma can only wonder, why? As this is when he will then see Luck then vanish in a bolt of lightning to go who knows where, but honestly, Magma had a bad feeling of this, as he could already tell by this point that Luck was no longer his normal self. As this will cause Magma to, which after he ends up crashing, would go on the hunt for Luck, trying to get him back, as well as to pay him back for that sucker punch he gave him. So back to Asta eventually. We then see with Mimosa, as she had faced off against two reincarnated elves, one of them being Klaus, as she had been actually overwhelmed quite easily actually, as she was now standing on her last few legs. At this, just when they were prepared to finish them off, as Yuno had stand there idly by, considering the fact he was still getting that boost from the reincarnated elf process, as this is when we would then see Asta falling from the sky, as she would then appear down on the ground right next to Mimosa. As he would land there quite swiftly, Asta would then turn to her, as she was relieved to see Asta, as this is when suddenly these beams would then be shot directly towards him, to which Asta would just cut them up quite easily without even using anti-magic. As he then asked her, "Are you okay?" At this, Mimosa would nod, as Asta would then turn to Yuno, as this is when he would then, of course, do something similarly to Canon, to which instead of doing nothing more but words, Asta would just walk over to Yuno and actually punch the boy in the face. At this, Yuno would actually be snapped out of it, as he actually looks at Asta in surprise, to which Asta would then say, "Are you done?" At this, Yuno finally snapping out of his daze would then smirk, as he then says, "You bet." As he ends up actually sending off a wind blast at Asta, to which it pushes him back slightly, as he then says, "Consider that payback for what you did." To which Asta and Yuno would then give each other a smirk, until they then turn their attention to the two reincarnated elves. At this, Klaus, as well as the other one, I didn't bother to recognize the name, will then easily scoff, wondering about why Yuno didn't convert to them, but then they just thought the heck, they just need to do a little bit more, so they intend on defeating him, then they'll try fixing him. To which Asta and Yuno would just scoff at that one, as they both get into their stances. At this, not even a second later, without even powering up, Asta and Yuno would then deliver a very disrespectful beatdown, as easily speed blitzing both reincarnated elves, and appearing right behind them, they would easily unleash their attacks on them, knocking them out in a one-shot, surprising Mimosa at the strength of these two brothers. So with all that being said and done, Asta would then turn to them, as he could still see the faint glow, as this is when he actually asked Libe for actually some assistance on this one, as using the power of anti-magic, he tries to lift the whatever that was on them. However, I'm gonna say unlike in canon, this time Asta actually ends up doing it quite easily, as I was saying, since Asta is way stronger than he was in canon, like a lot of times stronger. As well as the fact that Asta had more control over his anti-magic, he would lift off the spell of the reincarnation, causing them to return back to normal. However, it was during this process that Asta would actually sense a ginormous amount of ki that was approaching them, while Yuno felt the same thing, except it was for magic. Instinctively turning around, this is when they would then see the main boss of their entire organization, or the one that pretty much led up to the whole thing, it was Licht himself as he was descending down from above. At this, both Asta and Yuno tensed at this, while Yuno was honestly just in awe of his magic power, as the only time he ever sensed something like this, or even something similar to this, was when he actually met the Wizard King. But this guy was just on another, like a whole nother level. Well, Asta, he was actually smirking at this, considering the fact that this level of power, the fact that he got his key and his own body instincts to actually do something that he didn't command it to, would cause Licht to actually gain a large amount of Asta's respect, as he sees him as someone worthy to face off against him. So at this, after unsheathing his blade, both Asta and Yuno get into a stance, prepare for combat. But right before they could really get into anything, this is when Licht would then vanish and appear right beside them. As this is when he then places his hand on Asta's katana. However, right before he could do anything, this is when a voice would then crack in. Let go. At this, Licht would actually be surprised as he then turns to Asta, only to see his red eyes glaring at him as he had a black slit accompany them. I said, let go. At this, Conqueror's Haki begins to spill out of him, causing Licht to actually return back instantly. On pure instinct alone, he had vanished right before he could actually be in danger, as his body had forced him to run away, as Licht can tell that at that very moment, Asta was planning to kill him. As this is when suddenly both Asta and Yuno would be taken in by their proper, aura, as Yuno having the power of wind will have the greenish one, while Asta having the power of anti-magic will take in the blackish and reddish one. Due to this, each one would then go into their strongest form, not holding back, as Yuno, he already knew he had to go all out against Licht. That means to bust out the fullest form that he can access at this point, which if you guys don't want spoilers, I recommend you read the manga, as I don't believe that part has been animated yet. I haven't really been watching the anime. I've been mostly reading the manga because that shit's fire. But back to it. At this, Asta, he also takes in his full-on transformation, which I again recommend you read the manga, as I don't want to spoil it for y'all. As each one of them would stare down Licht, all three members would then vanish as they appear at the center, which each of their respective weapons clash against Licht's one. At this, the power and the shockwave behind it is so powerful, it actually ends up destroying the area where they were fighting of the base of the Midnight Sun. As this when suddenly they would then all speed blitz into the air, chasing after one another. At this, Licht was on the defensive, as Asta and Yuno's attacks were just too fast and too powerful, as he had no opportunities to actually strike back at them. At this, each time he goes with Yuno's wind magic was so powerful that he continued pushing him away, causing him to not have any distance, as well as Yuno's speed was actually comparable to him, surprisingly. While Asta, his speed was actually something that surpassed even his, as Asta was moving around swiftly throughout the air, as he was slashing about, throwing multiple slashes of anti-magic directly at Licht, planning to knock him out, to which Licht had no choice but to deflect them with his own blade, to which even that wasn't enough. As each time he would try to block Asta's anti-magic slash, he would just be sent flying, as Asta and Yuno continue on with their offensive. It got so bad to the point where finally at the final clash, to where, if you guys remember, where Asta and Yuno did the combination attack against Licht, during that final clash, both Asta and Yuno actually do an attack that's so powerful it overpowers Licht, causing him to be sent flying, which also ends up causing him to be knocked out unconscious. Now, as Licht was floating through the air, now falling to the ground after losing to Asta and Yuno, a portal would then open up right before he hit the ground, causing him to fall into the arms of Raya, who ends up checking on his downed friend. At this, Raya looks at Licht as he was now hurt, as he gets an angry expression, as he glares angrily at Asta and Yuno, who calmly end up finally landing on the ground, exiting out of their transformation, as each one of them would then point their respective way of fighting directly towards him. As this is when Asta would speak, surrender. Seeing this, Raya almost felt hopeless, but this is when he then realized that they were so close to finally accomplishing their plans, and he will not allow him to get in the way. So using all the magic that he could, as well as using everything to his advantage, he would open up a portal to swallow up everyone in the entire room. This being Asta, Yuno, Mimosa, Klaus, the other random guy that I do not pay attention to, Raya, and Licht himself, as each one of them go through their respective portal. Asta would shoot an anti-magic slash at Raya, to which it actually ends up connecting with his shoulder, causing him to actually spill out some blood. However, luckily he was able to get enough control into where they all got out of there just in time. As moving along, after a couple of things that are not really that important, the rest of the group ended up getting back together as Mereoleona was still down for the crown, as Nozel would use a magical item to heal up everyone in their wounds, to which actually surprisingly the ones that were still with them weren't that wounded except for Mimosa, as she had taken the blunt of it because she faced off against 2 reincarnated elves by herself. But moving on. So after a while of healing themselves, they end up forming up a plan to which that would go similarly to canon, as after forming the plan they all decide to go off to their designated area until Asta and Yuno will actually end up sensing a crisis at their very own village. So, completely ignoring Nozel entirely, Asta and Yuno would then dash off to their village in order to protect them. As appearing just at the moment that Lily was getting attacked, Asta and Yuno would use their respective weapons to take them down, as after arriving there, Lily would of course thank them, to which by the way it was Sister Lily, but I'm not trying to get my words mixed up because I'm talking too fast, okay? But moving on, Asta and Yuno would then of course give them a smile, as Asta would see around the area to see that everyone was poisoned in some way or form. Well, mostly everyone. So Asta in a fit of rage would actually one-shot the reincarnated elf just when he was in the middle of talking large amount of smack, as Asta will put him in his place by using an anti-magic slash across his chest, as Asta would also equip this with a little bit of hockey to make sure to reinforce it. So after knocking the man out, Asta would use his anti-magic to spread around the entire area, causing the reincarnated elf as well as the rest of the villagers to all recover from whatever that was affecting them. So with that, Asta and Yuno would then look to each other as they decide to split ways so that way they can cover more ground. So due to this, Asta and Yuno would say farewell to their village, as each of them will go their separate ways. And now we're going to change perspective to Magma, who, unlike in the main canon, actually did find out about Luck this time way earlier, and had went off to chase after him. Now, we still get the same fight, just like in canon, of Magma going against Luck, but this time he's on his own. However, due to the fact that Magma had actually gotten extremely strong, thanks to the fact that he got trained from Asta, means that he's able to put up a way better fight. Due to this, Luck is actually surprised, or should I say the reincarnated elf is more surprised, considering the fact he thought Magma was a weak and lowly human. As the thoughts running in his mind were, what? But I don't get it. How could he even match up to me? It just makes no sense. He would say this in a very surprised tone as another flaming ball would go directly towards his face only for it to vanish. At this was one of Magma's new techniques, as the ball, instead of just going ahead and exploding upon contact and just vanishing, it would actually do something else, as it was like a missile that targets you and follows you around, as soon as Luck tries to dodge, it would actually appear right in front of his face, blowing up right in front of him, causing him to take a large amount of damage. So yeah, the fight between the reincarnated elf and Magma was going pretty well. However, Magma was running into a big problem, that being the fact that he was running out of mana, and that was happening extremely fast. And even Magma knew that Luck, when it comes to mana, he obviously had more than him. So if it came to a test of endurance and who had more mana, then Luck would be the winner. However, Magma was not giving up, so he continued using everything to the best of his abilities until his mana finally was at its limit, causing him to sink down to his knees. Seeing that the man was done with his relentless attacks, Luck had went off to do a finishing blow to him, using his lightning magic to blitz extremely fast towards him to deliver a powerful lightning attack directly to his face, intending on ending him right there and now. However, this is when an anti-magic slash would then intercept him, causing Luck to jump away. At this, the reincarnated Luck would then turn, as this is when Asta will make his appearance known, as he will be standing on top of a rubble looking down at Luck with pity. How pathetic. And I thought you actually got strong, Asta would say as he looked down at him. At this, Luck, not liking this comment, would then say, how dare you try to talk back to me, you filthy human. At this, he shoots off a bolt of lightning, only for it to be intercepted by Asta, as he appears right next to him in a second, grabbing his wrist. At this, Luck was surprised, as the only thing he was running through his mind was, but how was he this fast? As Asta would then use the blunt of his katana to slam Luck in the stomach, sending him crashing through more rubble. At this, Asta would begin to then calmly walk towards him. Is this it? It was all that training that I gave you. Is this the result? Because if so, you're the biggest disappointment I've ever faced in my life. At this, Luck would then get up as he tells him to shut up as he shoots more lightning at Asta, only for him to block it away as he slices through them using his sword. Just pure sword skills, no anti-magic. At this, Luck is just thinking in his mind, like, what the heck is even happening? As first was Magma, and then there was this guy who was on another level itself. At this, he would just continue trying and trying, but failing to even hit Asta, while Asta continues looking at him with that disappointed look. At this, having enough, the reincarnated Luck would then shout at Asta, "Just what the hell are you?" At this, Asta would then look at him with pity. I'm someone who is disappointed in his disciple. At this is when Asta would then release a powerful anti-magic slash directly towards Luck's chest, causing him to instantly be knocked out, as the reincarnated effects of the spell would then be released, causing the reincarnated elf to vanish. Asta doesn't even look up as he sees Luck now down on the ground. He would use the anti-magic to remove the cut, of course, so Luck could actually, heal properly. And after that, not much really changes, as eventually Luck would eventually wake up. Magma would be checked to see if he was good, to which he was, only slightly, heck not even slightly. He was mostly drained of his mana, but after that, the rest of them had actually traveled back to the Black Bull's base, only to see that it was actually slightly destroyed. At this, after a couple of things happened, such as the Black Bulls begin to reunite the originals before Zora and a few others. We also get the introduction of Henry for Magma because he didn't know he was there. And eventually after that, Vanessa and Charmy end up going there as well. Now, as soon as Charmy arrives, she ends up pumping them with a bunch of magic food, which, by the way, can I just say this? Anime food, bro. Gosh dang, have you guys ever wished to taste food from a screen before? More than before, dude. I'm telling you right now, because when I saw the food that they were making and they were eating, bro, I was literally high-key, contemplating, should I jump through the screen just to try some? Because anime food just be looking different, bro. I don't know what the heck they were doing, but they just wanted to make sure that we were jealous and that we were hungry while watching this show. But back to it. So after all that being said, though, it was finally time for them to head out. So just like in canon, Henry uses his magic to make the bull into a rampaging bull so that way they can travel. And after that, all the Black Bulls hop on it as they now dash off towards the kingdom to save it. And this is where we now move on towards the next scene. Now, during this moment, the Black Bulls will go through a couple of things, like saving a small nearby village from 3 reincarnated elves, but after that whole ordeal was settled, they would eventually arrive back at the royal capital, that being the Clover Kingdom. Now, as soon as they arrive there, they will see a bunch of chaos just happening throughout the area, as of course a bunch of reincarnated elves were attacking civilians, and the rest of the Magic Knights that were still there were trying to put in work trying to save the kingdom. So, eventually, after the Black Bulls had finally settled down, they would eventually end up running into Ghosh as well as Memory, who were both in the reincarnated spell, so due to this, they had to take them down. At this, Asta was confident in the squad itself, so he knew he didn't have to intervene at this point, and the only time he would intervene was when he needed to lift up the spell. So due to this, the Black Bulls, using all their powers united, plus the extra boost that they got from Charmy's food, would use their abilities to take down Ghosh quite easily. And once he was down, Asta would use the power of his anti-magic to lift off the spell, allowing both reincarnated elves to pass away freely, leaving Marie and Ghosh there as they now had returned back to normal. However, that was the least of their worries though, as eventually this is when Dorothy, the captain, would then appear, as she would actually use her dream magic to actually take the members, or at least half of the members of the Black Bulls, into her own dream dimension. This caused Asta to actually get a little bit upset now, as even though they were strong, they were not there exactly at captain level. However, he believes that with all of them working together, they should at least be able to handle her, at least to escape. That's the best they could do. So with that being said, now it was just Asta and a few other of the Black Bulls left. And eventually, after a while of nothing more but pure shenanigans, as I'm not going to get into detail of every little thing here, guys, okay? Eventually, the Black Bulls do end up escaping, as this is when a portal would then open up right at the center of the Clover Kingdom. So, due to all of this, Asta, as well as the rest of the groups, will still form just like in canon, as each one of them have been formed to raid the base. that being Mereoleona, Flagoleon, Nozel, Noel, Asta, and a few others. As the group was now assembled, each one of them would then turn their sights into the portal, as one by one, all of them would then jump in there, as they'd all dash off to face off in the final battle against the final members of the Eye of the Midnight Sun. As this is where I believe I'm gonna have to end this part to this what if. What did y'all think? Hopefully y'all did enjoy. I understand this part was more short, but honestly, if I'm being completely honest here, things have been pretty. I got pretty exhausted like midway. It's probably because I'm still. I don't know. I used to be able to like talk for like very long periods of time because, well, that was the only thing I was really good at. Not gonna lie. But now it's like I'm trying to get back to that point. So I'm still learning and everything. I'm trying to get back to the hype of it all. But honestly, you guys could go ahead and help me a lot by, commenting down below any of your thoughts or feelings about the whole thing, any new what if ideas. I'm not lying, guys. I write down my what if ideas, make sure to actually understand like, oh, who am I going to give credit to for this idea, because you guys have some banger ideas that even I didn't think of. But other than that, guys, I think your boy is about to head out. So yeah, like I said, comment down below. Hey, maybe you leave a like on the video. You guys don't really need to do that, but also if you guys want to really support me, you guys can hit that subscribe button as well as turn on the notification bell, which I don't know if that really works because some people have been saying that, oh, they don't get like my videos recommended in time, but I would like to believe that it still works. So yeah, if you guys just hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell, then you guys should be kept up to date with my videos. At least that's what I think. So with all that being said, guys, it is your boy, and I believe it's time for him to head out. Peace.